Animation is, if not one of the best ways to tell a story, because of all the freedom that's involved in it. However, one technique that I think goes underrated is stop motion itself. For those who don't know, stop motion is taking pictures of certain objects, moving said objects, and then taking pictures again until you string together an entire sequence. If you've seen films like Paranorman or Coraline, then you already have an idea of what stop motion is. However, I'd like to go more in-depth into it. Not just the animation, but everything else that goes into it. Which is exactly why we are here today. When I was a kid, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and most of them were about Legos. And I came across this one video where it was entirely done in stop motion, and I didn't know what stop motion was at the time, so I thought it was really cool. At first, I thought it was just invisible wires to help the characters, and I thought that was the case. But no, as I got older, I realized what it was, and then somewhere in middle school, I gave it a try. And since then, I just kept going from there. One of my favorite aspects of stop motion is the storytelling that you can do here. Aside from making the characters, but we'll get into that. Most of the time, I just improvise a story right off the top of my head, and I don't usually write a script a whole lot. I just go by what sentences matches the tone of the story, what makes sense and what doesn't, and I just go from there. However, writing a script does matter if you're writing a big story, which I tend to do a lot because it's a lot for me to do here. So if you're really into that kind of thing, you'd be wanting to go on a script a whole lot more than just improvising on the top of your head. As of right now, for storytelling, all that matters is how unique it sounds to you. Like, what kind of story do you want to tell? For me, I'll just look at a Lego set and then, oh, that's our story. We can use something with that. And then after that, you can think about where the story is going to go. And now you have to think about what else are you going to do. I got to make the story come to life somehow, with the characters and everything else that you're going to do. Which brings me to the next thing related to the storytelling, which is characters. Coming up with characters is pretty easy, considering that, based on their designs, it's already taken care of for me. Now with this guy, I can look at him and say, he's overconfident about his plans. Like, he'll always have a plan, and he'll just go on about how it's going to work, only for it to blow up in his face and not actually work at all. But he's too stubborn to admit it. So just by looking at this character, I've already got a sense of what he's like, what his personality is, what he does and stuff. And now the most important part is bringing him to life with a certain voice. Voice acting is another one of the things I like to do a lot. And the voice helps bring the character to life, so you gotta have a good voice for it. Dude, don't worry. My plans work like 99.9% of the time. I don't think we have anything to worry about. So you just sit down and relax. A unique story calls for unique characters. You gotta make them memorable and likable so that way your story sticks out and you remember the characters a lot more. No one is going to like a character who is a jerk and nor is completely bland and nothing at all. No one likes that kind of character. Therefore, your story will not work. Oh.
God, I hope they didn't break that.
Set design is one of the most important things about stop motion storytelling because it's where your story is going to be taking place. For me, I like to take inspiration from certain locations like, say, a park or a city and try to replicate that in my Lego style. And I like to focus on the details, like making sure everything looks alive and busy, not just static all the time. I like to keep it consistent with what the story is. Like, you can have a little bit of inconsistency if you're gonna make it kind of crazy or silly as possible, but for me, I like to stay consistent with it. I use the stop motion app on my phone here, and I prop it on this controller platform in order to keep the camera straight and stuff. But whenever I'm not doing that, I like to get crazy with the angles and try to shoot from above instead of just flat out on the ground. Angles taken from the top are really one of my favorite angles to do here because it gives you a lot of area to work with. Like, there's a lot ground to cover when it's just like one or two characters, maybe more, and you have a lot of area to work with from that. Now you could get dramatic with it and try to give it slant look from downward in order to have the camera look slanted and make it seem like a bit of a dramatic feeling going on. And it's really fun. I enjoy the angles a lot. Like, look how cool that looks. Like every film, there's always some sort of effect going on with it. One of the effects being specifically the green screen. Everyone knows what the green screen is. If you don't,
then I guess I'll explain it to you whenever, I guess.
Green screen is what gives you the background that you want. And I find it really useful, especially if set design may be a bit lackluster. So if you want to go above and beyond than just set design, then green screen can definitely help you out with that. I tend to do a lot of green screen because sometimes I will be too lazy to make entire set design. In films, there's always something that didn't need to be there, but you don't notice it until after you filmed a whole lot of stuff, which happens a lot to me, unfortunately. And especially, and it's even worse because I'm already too far into the project to go back and redo it without the certain thing I don't want there. So the best way to remedy that is to use this eraser feature that I have on the app on my phone here. I can rub against the screen and take out what I don't want there. And just like that, the character is gone. I have no idea where he went. He's around here somewhere. Don't ask me. Just because the film you're making is stop motion doesn't mean it can't have a unique style to it. One of the ways that I like to do to make sure that the stop motion film is unique, aside from having a consistent way of animation, is to add my own little style or spin to it. One of the things I do, I'll add comic book effects, like paper cutouts of comic book words that you see to describe impact. I will also do a smear frame technique in order to get that cartoony, fast-paced action of anything really. Another one I like to do is the color splash, making it change the color of the screen when it's slow motion. Anything to make it unique and stick out most of all in your stop motion film. Like I said, just because stop motion is a consistent way of animating something doesn't mean you can't have your own spin on it. To me, there is no such thing as a bad idea. The only thing that matters is how the idea is executed. If you have a unique story you want to tell, then tell it. If you have a certain way you want to tell the story, use that unique way. You're embracing who you are with this kind of film technique. It embraces what you're capable of doing, what you can get done. And I think that's the real joy of stop motion. It's all the build-up and process that goes into the filmmaking itself. And you can see all the care and effort and love, passion, all that stuff that was put into it in order to create such a great final product. And I'd say stop motion really helped me embrace my love for film a lot more. I embraced how much I love film a lot way before I did stop motion, but now I can safely say I embrace it a whole lot more than what I used to do. I now have a greater appreciation for it, and I'm hoping after watching this, you have a greater appreciation for it too. And that's why I can definitely say stop motion is one of the greatest ways to tell a story.